You get distracted or overwhelmed when there is too much writing or too many stickers on your planner pages, then you may want to try out the simple planning spread that I'm sharing today. I'll be discussing how I decide what to write down and how I am decorating the pages with stickers. Step 1 is to divide up the spread into 4 sections. Section 1 is labeled MIT 1, Section 2 is labeled MIT 2, and section 3 is labeled MIT 3. At the bottom of the page, I have a scheduled section, which is for things like scheduled appointments or events. You could also put your scheduled section at the top of the page if you are concerned that you'll forget about these events and appointments if they are at the bottom of the spread. It's completely up to you. MIT stands for Most Important Task. A most important task is a crucial task that drives the key results that you want to attain. In the sidebar, I'm adding a section for this week tasks. These are tasks that I want to work on if I finish my MITs for the day and have extra time. These tasks are getting pulled from my monthly list in order of priority. Of course, you can use the spread any way you want, but I personally like to combine it with my routines. So in part 1, I had mentioned how I have like a morning routine and an evening routine and a weekly reset. And then I also just have this weekly schedule that I follow. So essentially, I follow that weekly schedule, but then during my evening routine, there's a time in it when it says to reference my home planner for tasks. So that is when I reference this weekly spread. And if you haven't seen part 1 of this series yet, I do recommend you go back, watch that, and then come back to this video because it goes into more detail about how all of this works. To actually fill in this spread, I'm transferring tasks from my monthly list to the weekly spread. I start with the scheduled appointments or events and fill those in the bottom section. For example, I have a dentist appointment at 8 a.m. on October 8th, and at 7 p.m. on that Sunday, I need to call in for jury duty. Then I start to fill in the MITs, starting with my top priority tasks on the monthly list first. I'm also keeping in mind what my work and routine schedule is for that day, keeping in mind what tasks I will realistically have both the time and the energy to complete that day. Because if I don't do that, it's probably not all going to get done, and then I'm just going to be disappointed. For example, when I get home from work on Mondays, I usually don't have very much energy because those work days are usually pretty stressful for me, especially if I have to, say, give a presentation that day. It just completely zaps me of energy. So instead of trying to edit a full YouTube video, I decided I would realistically that day be able to cancel a subscription, plant some seeds for my flower garden, and complete Etsy shop orders for the day. I have more time and energy on the weekend though, so I assigned things like assembling the terrarium, buying paint, and then painting the walls in my courtyard to the weekend. If you are the type of person who prefers more decor, you could also maybe stamp something in the corner on your sidebar. So this bear is a stamp that my mom gave me for my birthday last year. Or you could add a sticker in the corner. You could also add some functional icon stickers to the spread. For example, for when I need to take out the trash, I use the trash can icon, and then when I need to water the plants, I use a watering can icon, etc. The point is that the decor items are not detracting from the function of the spread, or they are adding to the function of the spread, like with functional icons. That could potentially add to the function because it's drawing attention or clarifying the action item. I think the key here is not to make it too visually cluttered for you. If you prefer no stickers, there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone is different. We all have different preferences. That is totally okay. Typically, not everything on our to-do list is equally important. Having that ability to prioritize, it's like a muscle that you have to strengthen by practicing it over and over again. But I believe it's totally worth it. It's a crucial skill that is worth that invested time and energy because it will save you so much precious time in this long run so that you can spend that time on what matters most to you. If you have a difficult time knowing what tasks are your highest priority, I'm going to leave a link to a video down below that might be able to help you with that. By assigning MIT labels to specific tasks while we are planning, we are giving ourselves a guide or a roadmap for knowing which tasks to complete first. But of course, it's one thing to know what the priority is, but to actually follow through on completing it, that is absolutely key here. I personally find that having a limited number of tasks written down, not having my page covered with visual clutter, really simplifies this process for me so I can really focus in on completing those priority tasks. So when that day comes, we can work on those assigned MITs one by one, focusing our time and energy on these before we move on to the rest of our to-do list. By doing so, we can help ourselves to follow through on addressing what is most important instead of getting distracted by urgent but not necessarily important tasks that will inevitably pop up throughout the day. Today's functional planning spread could work well for people who want to make planning a habit, but they get really overwhelmed when they see a bunch of tasks written on a page. It can work for people who have a difficult time focusing when there are too many stickers on their planner page. I personally like to use this type of planner spread when I have to work a lot of extra hours for my job and I just don't have a lot of time to decorate or enough time to do a lot of tasks at home. So this type of spread helps me to really focus in on those 3 MITs for the day to make sure those get done before I move on to lower priority tasks. If you want to learn more about prioritization, check out this video next, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye!